Tottenham, Danny, they go to Stamford Bridge and they lose again. It remains just one win in 37 for Tottenham at Stamford Bridge in all competition. And now they've lost 4 times to Chelsea this season, 3 of those coming in the last month. I mean, where do you stand on this? Has Conte been publicly too defeatist in his overview of the Tottenham squad, do you think? What do you think?
No, I think he's been realistic. I think sometimes there's a way of delivering things. Maybe there's a little bit of misinterpretation in the way he sometimes delivers things with the language, but overall, no, I quite like his honesty. And if he was to try and bluff his way through those interviews or hoodwink the supporters, they wouldn't like that anyway. If you look at the 2 sides yesterday, for example, and that was his first defeat in the Premier League since he's been here. So, you know, he's done well with the squad he's got. But if you look at the Tottenham lineup yesterday, you could argue that probably only Harry Kane would be anywhere near the Chelsea side. And if you think of the Chelsea squad, I mean, when he talks about being when he's talking about a huge gap between Spurs and Chelsea, you know, Chelsea didn't have the likes of Werner, Havertz, Kante, Alonso, Loftus-Cheek, Christensen in the side, and all that. Those half dozen, you could argue, would all get in the Tottenham side.
Right.
So the gulf in quality is there.
It's apparent.
Yeah.
The thing is, though, Simon, how would you feel if you're a member of that squad and constantly you're hearing there's not enough quality in that squad?
There's 2 words to describe the reasons why there's been 37 games that they haven't won. Is because they've had Roman Abramovich bankrolling Chelsea for 19 years and pouring millions and millions and millions of pounds. So it's comparing, you know, a silk purse with a sow's ear to some extent. How would I feel? Well, you know, I think players have got to be realistic about their performances and the level of expectation that an elite manager that Antonio Conte brings to bear. He's not singling out players and making individual players be named and shamed. And I also don't think he's being over-expansive in his criticism. I think on one hand, he says that the players are doing exceptionally and working very hard. On the other hand, he says something very pragmatic, which is this is going to take a series of transfer windows. This is going to take years. And it takes some clubs years. If your starting point is much lower than the opposition, and we keep comparing Tottenham, who are we comparing them to? Chelsea? Well, they're not good enough. The Chelsea are better side than them. Should we compare them to Man City too? Man City are better. So who do we compare?
Well, Conte's comparing them. He's comparing them to Chelsea.
No, he's comparing.
He's the one that's coming away with it.
He's being put into a situation where people are asking him a question which is a ridiculous question to ask. Tottenham have not invested, are not as good as Chelsea. They're not as good as Liverpool. They're not as good as Man City. Now, if he plays against someone else like Wolverhampton Wanderers and someone asks him the same question, then possibly you get a different answer. But we keep asking him these ridiculous questions. Who in this room, or anyone in sensible football terms, thinks that Tottenham are as good as Chelsea, Man City and Liverpool and has invested as much?
But the question is, why are they not? And the question's are right to be asked because...
well, he answers the question.
It's in pursuit. He's answering it his way, but he's not answering it honestly. And you've just answered it for him. No, the answer is because they haven't invested.
Yes, but he's been there.
And that's what they ask. That's what the questioner wants.
But he's been there 5 minutes, and everyone keeps asking the same question, right? So what you want Tottenham to do is go into the transfer market and buy whom in January? Whom are they going to buy? They're going to buy Traore, so they're going to spend 20 million quid.
Right? There are plenty of players available.
Yeah, but who do you buy in a transfer window? How many January transfer windows?
That's what Paratici is there for.
But how many January transfer windows and how many players can you name out of the hundreds that have been bought in January at this stage for an elite club that Tottenham want to be? How many can you name? You can name perhaps Suarez, and you can perhaps name Virgil van Dijk. But go and give me a list of other players that top clubs have bought in January that have been good business. This guy walked through the door halfway through the season. Sensible business would be buying next summer. But that would be sensible business.
Yeah, the other problem is, of course, is that even if you were in the summer window and you were trying to attract players to Spurs of the same quality that Chelsea attract, then you've got to up the wage bill. You've also got to find yourself more often in the Champions League so you can give that as an attraction to the player you're trying to sign. You know, look, you're going there to play Champions League football and you're going to earn good money.
Yeah.
So if you look at someone like Ziyech from Ajax, he's going to Chelsea knowing he's going to a club that is going to play Champions League football. It's going to pay him what he thinks is probably the going rate.
Yeah.
If Tottenham were in for the same player, they wouldn't get him. So they're shopping in different places until it's a difficult one. So Tottenham are in this predicament where really they need their manager to bring in some of the players he has good relationships with, give him the freedom to do that, and then we'll see. But Simon's right in terms of the January window. You can't get top quality players generally because they're already at big clubs who want to keep them, even if it means losing out financially to keep them till
The
the end of
conundrum is when you bring Conte in the door, you're going to set a narrative up amongst other people that Conte has to spend money, Conte has to have this now. Conte's going to leave at the end of the season. I bet you Conte doesn't leave at the end of the season. I bet you Conte is a big boy that knows full well what he agreed with Daniel Levy. He just doesn't need it to every gurning journalist that wants to ask him the same question 25 times. When are you going to buy a player? What's the problem? Are you going to do this? But I don't like the way he answers questions. I'd like him to be a bit more honest and say, I understand where we are, and I'm going to do my business next summer. In the meantime, we're going to operate at a very high level. So why doesn't he do that? I don't know, because football managers want to keep the intrigue. They want to keep the pressure. They want to keep the mystique. Why did Arsene Wenger do stupid things at the end of his tenure when I may stay, I may not stay? Well, make your mind up. Which one are you going to do? Sometimes, I think they love the moth to the light sort of dynamic of keeping everybody guessing about what it is they're going to be doing. But can you imagine why Conte, either Daniel Levy has told him the biggest pack of lies and he's the most gormless nitwit that's ever put breath into the fact that he signed a contract with Daniel Levy, or he knows that he's going to have to go again next summer and they're going to go with what they've got. They're going to clear out the decks. They're going to get rid of Dele Alli. They're going to get rid of players and they're going to balance the books and they're going to bring some more money in and they're going to use that money like he does in a lot of other clubs to buy other players. Yeah. That's the sensible stuff.
I mean, he's being asked because a week tonight the window shuts, and that is why. It's up to him how he answers it, but they've got to do something because what they've got at the moment clearly is not good enough.
I think the other thing is they've played Chelsea 3 times in a fortnight, and therefore the question, he used to manage them, the difference, the gap has been obvious. It's been made clear in 3 games.
Yeah.
So he's been asked the question because he
managed Chelsea as well.
Yeah.
But they've got 3 games in. They've got 2 games in hand over Manchester United. They win one of them. They're 4th. Where in Christ's name is the problem?
I mean, but persistent calls for more additions, could it negatively impact a dressing room's mentality? Because this is what he says. What he's got at the moment isn't good enough and they have to strengthen. But surely he's already got a list in front of Levy that shows the type of player that he wants to get through the door. As Simon says, maybe January is not the time to do it, but they'll need to do something of that, there's no doubt. We're streaming live on YouTube and Facebook. You want to watch the show, you can. Head over to the official channel on those platforms. Monday morning, folks.
Jim White and Simon Jordan, Monday to Thursday morning 10 till 1 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.